Pacific War of World War II involved large part and distance across the world's largest ocean. Other than that, it not just involved the US and Japan, but Great Britain, Australia, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Canada, China, France, and the Soviet Union as well. On December 7th, the Empire of Japan surprise bombed the United States naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii territories. Japan's attack force made up of 3 carriers divisions including 6 aircraft carriers, 3 battleships, 2 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, 9 destroyers, 7 tankers, and 3 submarines, for a total of 27 ships and 3 submarines. It was the first air fleet under the command of Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo. They attacked the Americans to prevent it from interfering with military action in Southeast Asia. The surprise attack came as a profound shock to American people, and it led the United States directly entry into war with Japan, known as World War II. On D-Day, September 15, 1944, 5 battleships, 8 cruisers, and 14 destroyers keep pounding Japanese defensive on the bloody coast of Peleliu. 5 infantry of the 1st Marine Division, 5th and 7th Marines, the first wave of 4,500 men head toward the corridor in a fleet of track landing vehicles, LDTs, awaiting the landing force. Nearly 11,000 Japanese troops, including units from the never-defeated Manchurian Imperial Guards. They have a new trade to make Americans pay for every inch of ground. The Marines in LDTs had told their commanding general, Major General William H. Woods, believed that the operation would be tough, but it would take 3 days to walk through the corridor and it should be fast. Within 6 days later, the entire Marine had been decimated, and those who remained surviving fought for their lives. Peleliu is a part of Island Chain, lying 1,500 miles from Japan and 600 miles from East Philippines. Peleliu had been taken by Japan in 1922. It was a Japanese inner ring defensive system. There were many airfields and naval bases in the Palau, also threatened the Americans to liberate the Philippines, and the only way to remove the threat is to capture Peleliu. 2 months later, the U.S. aerial reconnaissance aircraft mapped every inch of the 6 miles long island, so that Marines could drift the island. It showed the airfield lying on a flat ground and the forest cover the high ground. Some of the beaches being overlooked by the high ground and other were blocked by the mangrove swamps. Because of the bad condition of Peleliu geography, the Marines head toward the beach closest to the airfield. The 1st Marine would go on the left. In the center is the 5th Marines, and the 7th Marines would take care on the right of the island. Leading ahead was Special Armor LVTs mounting machine guns and provide armor needed to protect out Japanese fortification and tanks. But when the Marines crossed the reef, they realized this battle is totally different from many others. It was the most threatening-looking island of all time, and the whole island covered by hundreds and hundreds of shell fire, and most of it was Japan. The first LVTs hit the beach at 8:30 a.m. Judging of the beach from groups and groups of men was seen in a storm of fire from Japanese concealed machine guns. Along 2,000 yards long beach, 3 regiments fought back to stand that beachhead in the center and on the right. The 5th and 7th made progress, but on the left wing, the 1st Marines head toward Japanese bunkers. The massive gun of Japan's stronghold known as the Point knocked down every LVTs all along the beach. The Marines supposed to take down every Japan position by using grenades. By mid-morning, the reinforcements have lain on the 5th Marines control part of the airfield. And on the right, the 7th Marines were pushing through the swamp towards Japanese defense along the coast. In the center of the bridgehead and on the right, the 2 regiments had advanced 100 yards to the edge of the airfield. The On the left wing, the 1st Marines being held up by Japanese machine guns, and it was just the Japanese front line. The Marines have no idea what they're facing with. They just start to break up the bridgehead and they need armor support. To operate, 15 tanks go through the shallow water. Most of them stuck behind or caught. Most of them made it to ashore to support and push forward the Marines. On the next dawn, Japanese launch a blistering counterattack. They crossed the airfield straight to the Marines about 400 yards away. Once again, the Marines must face the Japanese forward defense. After a few hours, the fight between machine versus human resulted. The Japanese attack force had been wiped out. More Japanese reinforcements were made but been beaten. On the last D-Day, September 16, 1944, 9,000 men of the 1st Marines had held the bridgehead, but they couldn't capture the airfield or any higher ground. Already the division had suffered more than any other infantry. More than 1,000 men died. It was an unexpected, deadly battle, and it will go down to history as a bloody nose ridge. On the following hour, Division Commander Major General William Roberts came to call. He ordered to advance across the island to achieve the objective, but the Marines had already suffered more than thousands of casualties. Plus, there's reinforcements waiting in the transport sea. There were 2 regiments of the U.S. 81st Infantry Division were ready to endure the battles. But General William Roberts had made an astonishing decision. He announced himself and his Marines can complete the objective without any help from any other branch of service. They wanted to finish it their own way. In the center of the bridgehead, Marines were trying to capture the rest of the airfield. But from hell, Japanese guns and emplacement firing from the high ground to the outside, and made the airfield became a death trap. Marines called for tank and artillery support. This time the American airstrike on the Japanese mound, the base Japs made an advance movement for the Marines to push forward. One more time the 5th Marines had made progress, captured the airfield and secured the areas. On September 17th, the 3rd day on Peleliu, Marines were trying to capture the rest of the area. Unfortunately, it's not just a mound, but a series of razor edge. And each ridge had been dug into hundreds of caves and tunnels, all machine guns dug into slopes, so that the lower ground would fill up with storm of fires. The 1st Marine now reached the mountain, seeking for a way to stop Japanese firing. The Marines tried to claw up the mountain and kill Japs, but after fires and fires, Japanese concealed in their caves. The following days, as the Americans struggled to conquer Peleliu, there was appear another enemy beside Japan. The climate rise as high as 100 degrees in daytime. It became a big problem and even water began to run out. After 4 desperate firing days, half of Peleliu controlled by the Marines, both 5th and 7th Marines achieved their D-Day objectives, but not for the 1st Marine. They suffered the most in the Peleliu battle since the beginning of D-Day. More than 1,500 men killed or wounded, but the bloody nose still under control of Japan. On September 19, 1944, the 5th day on Japan, the Japanese still firmly holding the lands on the chaos terrain of Royal Mound. In the afternoon, the 1st Marines again shooting the Japs spot in the south end of Homer Brewer. Under the heavy fire of the Marines, they were prepared to defend their position until the last man down. The island declared secure on November 27th, ending a 73 days long battle. Peleliu battle casualty came up to the most highest rate in any American battle with 28,000 Marines and infantry troops involved. Peleliu battle casualty came up to the most highest rate in any American battle with 28,000 Marines and infantry troops involved. More than 40% of ground service killed or wounded. about 9,800 men. The battle casualties caused of several factors that overconfidence in the efficacy of the pre-landing naval bombardment, a poor understanding of Peleliu unit terrain, and overconfidence on the part of Marine commanders, who refused to admit the need to support earlier on the Bloody Nose Ridge.